Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is a topic of um how we can make the world a better place, part 2. Okay? So this is going to be the second part of my series where I talk about what we can do to make the world a better place. Okay? So for this video, I'm going to explain three more points that we need to do in order to make the world a better place. So now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to how we can make the world a better place, the first point I want to get across, which might come as a surprise to most people because we tend not to think about this topic, but it's very, very important, is a topic of how to actually become happier in life. This is one of the most important ones that definitely is highly neglected and highly not paid attention to for that matter, okay? This is definitely something that needs to be discussed and needs to be done effectively and just something we need to focus on for society. So when it comes to the topic of happiness, the first question, of course, is when it comes to making the world a better place, why exactly is happiness important? Now, the simple reason for that is simply down to simply the fact that happiness is definitely something that people experience. Because the truth about the modern world, okay, is that this is one of the biggest problems in the modern world, as I've noticed, okay, in honesty, is that people tend not to feel that great, okay? Especially here in the Western world, which is the most developed part of the world, people are not that feel that great. People either feel one or two things: either indifferent, which means they don't feel any emotion on a regular basis, or they feel depressed or miserable most of the time. That's for most people. It's either one of those two, okay? And that's not good because the truth of the matter is, if we live in a society, specifically not unless you're depressed or anything, and you have literally the most the world can offer to people, even for the rich people, let alone the everyday people, like how it is here in the West, this is the best it can get. Like in terms of living standards and everything for that matter, you know, this is the best you can get, and you're still fucking miserable, because you don't just feel that actual buzz that makes you actually enjoy the things you have, then that's not good. That can cause a lot of problems because it might make people go like, okay, so you're telling me I can live a life and I have everything I ever wanted to the best quality and everything, and I'm still miserable. Truth be told, that can really screw people up and make people even wonder, like, what's the purpose of life? And even if they still want to be alive, if you have everything and you're miserable, then what's the purpose of life? It's like being in a restaurant saying you have all this great food, but you eat all the food and you can't taste anything because you don't have a sense of taste. When it comes to, of course, life in general, the experiences you have, if you don't feel that great about it, then it brings up the question of like, you know, like what's the point of it? It's just like as I said before, living in a restaurant where you have all this great food but you can't taste anything. When it comes to living life and not feeling happy, it's the same equivalent of that. So that's the truth of the matter right here. So this is one of the biggest things that definitely needs to be done because I feel like if we don't have that ability, it can just cause problems and create existential crises where people might have everything you could ever want. The world situation is going well, and people are still miserable, which can kind of really screw people up and create situations that I don't even think is really worth mentioning for that matter. It's like living in a realm, it's like being a mortal being, for example, like a mortal story of beings that gone wrong, where people live for eternity and they don't feel anything and everything kind of gets boring and lame. It's kind of equivalent of that, but it's related to Earth when it comes to that type of issue. It's an existential crisis, and it just really makes people just miserable, if anything. So that's definitely one of the things we need to figure out: how to make people feel greater, whether it could be through knowledge and wisdom and information, because there are techniques that I have noticed can be done, which I'll eventually cover on my channel, or secondly, maybe even scientifically figure out a way to do it. Who knows? Maybe there could be some biological way, that we can make people naturally feel as great as they want to feel. Whatever you can imagine. That's definitely one of the things that we need to do to make the world a better place or something. So that's my first point. The second point I want to mention, of course, aside from that, is due to make the world a better place that definitely needs to be discussed is dealing with the corruption issue. Now, this one is definitely a very controversial one for obvious reasons because many people have different opinions and beliefs, and it's one of those topics where it can get kind of really ugly really quickly. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to dealing with corruption, this one is definitely going to have a surprise, just like the first one. Okay, contrary to what people say. Now, when it comes to this one, okay, if anything, that needs to definitely be discussed for that matter. Okay, one of the things that I've noticed that needs to be done about this one, aside from obviously better regulation, being able to monitor people more often and so on and so forth, when it comes to making purchases and all that type of stuff. One thing I can definitely say for certain when it comes to this one that will come as a surprise to people is simply not affect a lot of what needs to be done. Then corruption is simply down to having better willpower. Now, this one, of course, I know a lot of people, especially the more communist type, socialist type people, intellectual, cynical, whatever type people are going to think, okay, now this is getting idealistic, and all this type of stuff, yada, 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 the whole nine yards, blah, 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 whatever crap you want to fucking hear, or I should say everything you're going to hear for that matter, that type of stuff. But the truth of the matter is, the first thing Thomas mentioned is that obviously it's not going to work on everyone. Okay, that is the truth of the matter. This is common sense. Not everybody's gonna do it. So let's not make it come off as if I'm saying everybody is gonna change through just simply teaching them better willpower skills. But what I will say is that for at least some people, it will definitely work. Okay, because the truth of the matter is, one of the best ways to prevent corruption is to teach people how to have better willpower. Now, there's different ways you can do this. There's different techniques. One of the best techniques is to realize, like any feeling you get, it's eventually going to go away. The temptation is going to go away. And in the end of the day, the other thing to mention in that is to realize things will always be better in the long run if you focus on doing things the good way instead of focusing on taking doing things in a short run. Okay? And it's definitely something related to willpower. Just like how you get cravings for food and you resist the temptation, when it comes to corruption, we need to start having people in position of power who are taught how to resist the temptation of becoming corrupt, for that matter, okay? Like, of course, yes, I know it's not going to work on everybody, but there are definitely ways of realizing using common sense that it will work on some people, because some people, whether they're a good person or a piece of shit, are going to realize, okay, it's kind of better not to do this because it's eventually going to catch up to me. So that's one of the ways of doing it. And for obviously the other way of dealing with government corruption is to realize that at some point we can definitely work on having better anti-corruption strategies. One of the best strategies I can have, like I can think of, is definitely maybe we should have a system where we automatically, whenever someone is in a position of power is making a purchase or whatever, we automatically, by law, have them monitored for every purchase they make when it comes to government funds. Because to answer your question, whether people say it's an invasion of privacy, when you see actually the effect corruption has on nations and how hard it is to fix them, if it's ever possible to fix them for that matter, well, I don't have a problem with it. Whether they make a purchase like for this or that or whatever, I'd rather live in a world where we are getting into seeing what they're doing than having people take the funds and screw up a freaking nation. Whether it could be, you know, um, that particular strategy when it comes to monitoring them or any other thing, we need to have better regulations set in stone. One of the best regulations set in stone I could imagine is just keeping track of what they are purchasing. And let alone maybe just simply making sure that people are not able to purchase, things for their own needs with government money. And that's what I'm trying to say. If we can do that, then definitely we can deal with corruption. But either way, the main point is corruption is definitely one of the things that needs to be resolved. And if we can resolve it, the world will be a better place. And the third and last one, obviously, which I don't even have to explain that much, is taking better care of the environment, cutting down, the Amazon rainforests and all the other destructions of the natural habitat are screwing up our planet. So we definitely need to work on that one as well. And if we can work on that one, then our world is not going to suck. Because if we screw up our environment, whether it could be killing too many animals to make them, which makes them become extinct, or destroying natural habitat, whatever, yada yada yada, it's going to screw up our planet more. Okay, so we need to definitely do more to prevent that from happening. So the third one is pretty much what you're already used to hearing all the time. So that's the third one. I don't have to explain much, but definitely that's something we need to work on. So anyway, these are the things for the part two of my series. What I think needs to be done to make the world a better place. All I can say is that I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up, edit the subscribe button, and this is all I have to say, and simply put it, I am out. So bye.